Jeremy O'Day. Now, Jeremy, I know you're not a big hockey guy, but did you catch any of that last night?
I caught the last overtime period of the Winnipeg game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's intense. That's intense stuff. Like football, football overtime, great. Something about hockey when they just get going and continue and into second overtime. Like as a former athlete, right? Like you're just trying to put anything in your body to help.
Yeah, I mean, in hockey, we're watching those overtimes. I mean, it's every shot you're holding your breath. Like you think that the puck's going to go in the net, and there's so many close calls, and so yeah, it's a super exciting time in football. I mean, one team's got the ball. There's only one team that usually can win unless there's an interception return. But certainly exciting, and I'm sure the NHL loves it that those games were so tight.
The SaskTel Plaza of Honor class announced today. Let's go through this. A guy that you know well would have played with, Chris Best. I thought for a second there today, I'm like, I thought he was already in. What are your words about former teammate Best?
Yeah, Best was a good player for us. I mean, he's someone that was super physical. He liked to push the envelope and play hard. What you like as an offensive lineman, play to the whistle. Obviously, a very cerebral player, very smart. He's an engineer, so to pick up the play, he never made any MAs because he was so smart. But had great size and was a great teammate. A guy that really fit in the room and was a leader for sure.
Alex Smith, senior, part of the coaching staff as well. A guy that just, you grow up watching Rider games, or if you're anything with Riders, it's just like his face was part of the brand almost, right? He was always on the sideline. It seemed like he was always there.
Yeah, Alex was a great coach for a long time. He is a football junkie. Like he is. Even today, he's probably out at practice once every other week, just sitting in the stands watching ball, and just loves the game. Was a true pro, a great coach. Coached a lot of special teams for us, and was very thorough. Felt like we were always very prepared when we went into games on special teams. Just a great guy, football guy, and talk about being fortunate to be with the team for so long. In today's game, that's a rarity.
And then the late Steve Malner goes in, played from 69 to 78, most outstanding Canadian, 76 and 77, a little before my time. But, what do you know about Steve?
Not a lot. Probably a little bit before my time as well. So don't have a lot about him, but it's sure from reading the resume and the statistics, it looks like he's very worthy.
Jeremy, what do you remember about your first camp? Rookie camp opens in a couple days, main camp on the weekend. If you had to walk back down memory lane, what stands out from your first camp with the Riders?
A lot of people probably wouldn't know this, but my first camp was in Toronto with the Argonauts. So I played 2 years with the Argonauts. So I was going into a team that was coming off the Grey Cup championship. They won in '96 before I came in '97. We didn't have a ton of rookies that end up making the team, but really just kind of eyes bright, wide open, and not knowing what to expect. I can remember my first one-on-one rep was against a guy by the name of Rob Waldrop, I think he was runner-up for the Outland Trophy winner. I remember the first one, I thought, wow, I did pretty good. I held my own. And then the second rep, he went by me so fast, and it was kind of like, okay, this is a little bit different level. But I was on a heck of a team to start my first year. I think we went 15-3 in Toronto. But I do remember walking through the locker room in Toronto. I was looking for my locker and walked all the way around the whole locker room, didn't see a locker. And then I looked in the middle of the locker room, and there was a fold-up chair with some duct tape on it with my name, 54 O'Day on it. And it was kind of musical chairs waiting for, as camp went on, guys were kind of disappearing around me. Then finally one day I came in and I got a locker. So that was a big deal for me.
Oh, that's good. The duct tape chair. We're gonna keep that one in the memory bank. We're gonna have to use that around here. I kind of joked about it on the show before. I love it. Luke Mullender last week and Suits, we talked about it as well. It seems like every day I'm getting a press release from Ariel that the Riders have signed an offensive lineman. Is it just me, or do you have a lot of O-line coming to camp?
I think it's more just the timing. I think overall the numbers are probably similar to the other camps. It's just a matter of when the guys commit. So a lot of guys, when you see them signing late, those are guys that are exploring all their NFL opportunities, and or they have a mini camp. We've had a couple more that we were close to signing that still have mini camps. So there's still a couple guys that we're kind of after, but we have to wait, kind of see how that shakes down with their mini camps. But with our luck last year, and it didn't just start during the season; it started in training camp. We had 2 or 3 guys that decided not to come. We had a couple guys that one guy had an emergency where he had an accident. Another guy had a family issue. And so I think we had 4 or 5 right before camp. So we were scrambling there in mini camp last year. And then it kind of just carried on through the season into injuries. But the good part of it is we got to see a lot of guys play, and they did well and got opportunities. And hopefully that's going to, pay dividends for us this year with our offensive line.
I'm fascinated with the behind the scenes stuff of how players end up in Rider Nation. So if we go back to the draft, Ali Saad taken number 1 overall, D-line, Bowling Green. When did he come on your radar? Because we see the pick, but there's usually a long backstory as to how all of this unfolds.
Yeah, for us, it starts almost a year in advance. Right now we're already working on, our 2026 draft. I think it was an hour after the draft, the video guys sent us a note that the 2026 draft film is up for us to start looking at. Obviously, we won't spend too much time on it early, but those names have been identified. The league office does a good job of giving us draft lists almost 2 years in advance, and those change. Guys go on and off of them, but we get alerted to them. Larry Dean is actually just flying out to the East-West game today, where the 2026 draft class candidates are going to be practicing. So he left today to get his eye on those guys before they go into their last year or their draft year. And then with Ali Saad, just like everyone else, we'll develop basically a file on him in our video department. So we'll have all of his tape from Bowling Green. We'll have if he went to an All-Star game, if he played any bowl games. And it really goes back a couple of years, so you can watch him as a junior and a senior. From there, we had Larry Dean at his pro day. It was actually pretty funny. My daughter has a friend that is a diver at Bowling Green, and she sent a picture to me of Larry in the weight room watching Ali do his bench press. And she thought it was pretty cool because she didn't, that logo she knows from home, and she was telling all her friends that's the team of my hometown. So she got a kick out of that. But Larry was there for his pro day. And then, it's a lot of film work. And then, of course, the interview process is a big part of that, too. So we all interviewed Ali.
Curtis Rourke, was he in every mock draft that you guys did? Can you tell us that? Was he always there?
Well, he got drafted in every mock draft, but it was always at a different spot. And I don't know if we actually took him or not in the mock draft. But I think with us, we had talked about going into the draft of, if he's on the board at a certain time, when do you actually start considering taking him? And I hear a lot of people say, oh, they should have waited longer. But if we waited longer and he got picked before us, I know that Toronto had 2 picks early on in the first part of the 4th round, and so you think with an extra pick that might be a team that might take him. So we decided to take him. Whether we ever see him or not, it's a risk that we're willing to take. Feel comfortable that you can go into next year's draft and get good players. And then also with free agency, there's a lot of Canadians that are available in free agency, but we just like the idea of, if he ever does to come to Canada, we have his rights and we'll have first crack at him.
Speaking of undrafted Canadian free agents, Kolade Amusan, I hope I'm saying that right, 6'3", 240, signed today. Who is he, and why in Rider Nation should we be as excited as you guys are about bringing him to the green and white?
So he played opposite of Liam Hopkins, who we actually drafted in the 5th round. And if you looked at the statistics, it's a kind of a classic case of, one was ultra productive, but didn't really test very well by the standards of the rest of the players at the combine. But when you put the tape on, that I'll have to give also some credit to our analytic department. His analytics were off the chart as far as QB pressures, QB sacks, really just playmaking in the game. He really jumped off. I was surprised that he didn't get drafted, and he was a guy that probably due to the combine probably dropped out of the draft. And at the end of the draft, we looked at it and said, we have some spots left for camp, so let's add another good Canadian that was on our board, and that's why we added him. But he just kind of constantly flashes on tape for Windsor, and we actually went back and watched him after the draft. I know everyone thinks it's kind of celebration mode after the draft, but we still have work to do with some of the guys that were undrafted, and he certainly was a guy that we had some interest in, and we said, hey, let's bring him in and give him a shot.
You guys do amazing work around the province, obviously, and getting out to the community, and it's a community team, and it's Saski's team and all that. You kind of put your money where your mouth is too in the draft, right? Grabbing 2 Saskatchewan guys.
Yeah, and so two different players. I always say that the coaching for not only the Huskies but for the Rams is really good, and their locker rooms are very strong, and something about the kids that play for those teams, that they just play super hard. Obviously, it helps knowing that they probably want to be here as well. It's kind of a mutual feeling there. So with Seth Hundeby, again, he was up front in the interview process. He's an engineer, and he has to go back to school this year. But we kind of really pressed him hard on, are you just going to get your degree and go be an engineer and make lots of money? And he said, no, I want to ride out football as long as I can. And again, someone that's 6'3" or 6'4", he's definitely taller than me, and 250 pounds, and tested very well, and really helped himself at the combine. And at the very least, he's competing on special teams right away.
So on Wednesday, when rookie camp opens, there's going to be a bunch of guys, new country, new league, new team, different rules, different size football field. How do you, as a coaching staff and as an organization, kind of make the world slow down for a lot of these guys? Because you obviously brought them here for a reason, but football's going to come at them fast. How do you get the most out of people that are in a completely foreign situation?
Yeah, I think you said it. New rules, different from the American rules that they'd be playing in college, or if they're in an NFL camp. So that's what the day before we go out in the field, they spend a day in the meeting rooms. As soon as we sign our players that are new to our team, it goes out to all our coaches. So our positional coaches will call those guys right away. We'll encourage those guys to talk to guys that played in our league, to watch film on our games and try to get used to it. But a lot of it, and not just for the new guys, but even the veterans, is really just reminding these guys of the different rules. The halo on punt return, the wider sidelines, the last touch rule when the ball's loose by the sideline. Just giving them all the kind of intricacies of the CFL, so that you don't want to get into a game and a guy makes a mistake because he just didn't know the rules. So, but receivers, using the waggle and timing up the waggle. In American football, the quarterback says hut, and that's when they leave. But in our league, they have to time up the waggle based on the cadence of the quarterback. And if you have 5 different quarterbacks with all different cadences, you got to get used to the guys you're playing with.
Adam Korsak retires. Punter. Is that a life decision for him? What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so Adam had he has been working at Rutgers in the off season, and he's been kind of going back and forth. And I think it kind of came down to a point in time where he had to make a decision whether he was going to keep doing this whether he was going to focus in on that job. And I think, they extended the opportunity to go during the season. And, he was upfront and honest and told us about it. We, no offense, but we knew about it prior to the global draft. We kind of chose not to announce it until the global draft was over, just from a little bit of a strategy and going into the draft. So we were aware of it. We really became aware when we signed Bailey Flint. When that signing took place is kind of when we were told about it, and so we were prepared and signed another really good punter. Disappointed to see Adam go because he's a great team guy, but by all means, Bailey's been the same.
Well, not only a great punter, like every time he walked on the field, you're like, all right, Corsack has this nailed down. But the interesting thing, and we talked about this in our pre-show meeting today, he's also the holder for Brett Lother, the kicker. Mm-hmm. So is that still the plan? Is that going to be a punter job? Is that a backup quarterback job this time around? How does that get addressed?
Yeah, it'll be a competition, but Bailey held in Hamilton. He's a good holder as well. Okay. And you see, it's pretty normal now. It's pretty unusual for a punter not to be a holder. They kind of have to have that skill set. And to be quite frankly, even in the global draft, there was some guys that went down on our board because they couldn't hold. You don't want to be in a position where you come to camp and you don't have a really good holder, and then you're having a tryout and then you're throwing Brett off. So. They'll have to work together through training camp and work out the intricacies of the snaps and how he wants it held but they'll be able to, there's plenty of time in camp for those guys to work through that. But you're right to say that, and it was an important part of us bringing in a punter, making sure that he's a good holder.
All right, I got one more for you. I don't know how much of this can you answer, but when's the last time you talked to Chase Claypool's camp?
It's been quite a while. We talked to him, I'd say, a couple months ago, just to be honest, I think he's pretty much focused on getting another opportunity in the NFL. It didn't go much further than that. I think Corey actually spoke to him and really just introduced ourselves to him and told him there's an opportunity, and I think he's just focused on the NFL right now.
Awesome. I'm glad I asked that. I mean, I've been sleepless nights. When's the last time they talked to him? Is there any chance?
And probably my final, Craig Reynolds was on with us on Thursday, and since the Stampeders are doing the Stampede Bowl this year, we put the idea in front of him, and maybe you can take this a little further. Maybe you can get it across the goal line. If they have the Stampede Bowl, why can't the Riders have the Pilsner Cup? Something to think about.
I'm sure there'd be a great turnout for sure.
I said no problem getting a focus group together to chat about the idea. Probably would be one of the funnest nights of the year, brainstorming, if you will.
For sure.
Hey, Jeremy, thank you for this.
I'm glad that Craig can handle that one.
Yeah, right on. Pass that one off. All right, Jeremy, thanks so much for making some time today and doing this. Really appreciate it. Obviously, everyone's really excited for camp. And, we'll just wait today here for another release on an offensive lineman signing, and then we'll take her from there.
Yeah, we're excited too, guys. We appreciate all your coverage of our team. Our staff is right in the middle of mid-move into the Huskies building right now. The truck went up with all the equipment, and the coaches left a couple hours ago. So they're setting up the Huskies camp as we speak, and I'm just getting ready to hop in the car and drive up myself.
Right on. Well, drive safe, and we'll see you up there.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.
Right on.